Look back to a night in July 1969. Millions of people sit glued to their televisions, eyes wide, hearts pounding. The grainy black and white image flickers, and then a human figure descends a ladder onto another world. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, he says. Humanity had done it. We had walked on the moon. But almost as quickly as cheers filled the air, whispers began to follow. Did it really happen? Could it all have been staged? In the decades since, myths have clung to the moon landing like shadows. Questions about flags, about footprints, about stars, about radiation, about film footage itself. Why do the doubts linger? Perhaps it is the scale of the achievement. It feels too grand, too impossible for its time. Perhaps it is human nature, to wonder if what we see is always real. And so myths survive, repeated over and over in hushed conversations, in sensational headlines, in documentaries filled with mystery. But science, patience, and truth have answers. And tonight, we will travel through those shadows, peeling away the myths one by one, to see the moon landing for what it truly was. Not a trick, not a hoax, but one of humanity's greatest triumphs. One of the most enduring images from Apollo 11 is that American flag planted firmly in lunar soil. And yet, to some, it seemed suspicious. The flag appeared to ripple, as if caught in a breeze. But wait, there is no air on the moon, no wind to make fabric flutter. Was it a sign, they asked, that the flag was waving on a Hollywood set? The truth is much simpler and far more human. The flag did not wave. It rippled because of a design challenge. NASA engineers knew the moon had no wind. So how could a flag hang visibly in photographs? The solution was a telescopic horizontal rod, inserted along the top edge of the flag to keep it spread. But when astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin tried to extend that rod, it jammed. The fabric bunched and wrinkled, frozen in a rippling pose. And when they twisted the pole into the lunar ground, the whole flag shook back and forth, just as any object would when disturbed. Once the motion stopped, the ripples remained, etched into the stiff fabric. That was all. No wind, no trick, only the stubborn mechanics of a rod that refused to extend fully. To this day, images of that flag endure, a reminder of a struggle, a solution, and a truth. On the airless moon, nothing moves unless touched. The flag never waved. It simply stood as proof of human persistence. Another myth often whispered goes like this. How could astronauts leave footprints on the moon when there is no water, no moisture? To help the soil hold shape? Shouldn't the dust collapse, blowing away into nothingness? But here lies a wonder of lunar science. The moon is covered with regolith, fine, powdery soil created by billions of years of meteor impacts. These tiny grains are jagged, sharp, and cling tightly together. Unlike Earth's sand, worn smooth by wind and water, lunar dust grips like Velcro. Press a boot into it, and the shape holds firm, crisp, untouched by erosion. And why do those prints last? Because the moon has no wind, no rain, no running water to wash them away. Without atmosphere, nothing stirs them. A footprint pressed into lunar dust can remain for millions of years, unchanged, a fossil of human presence frozen in time. Think of that. Somewhere on the moon today, Armstrong's first footprint still lies in perfect detail. A human mark that will outlast mountains on Earth, that may endure long after our cities crumble. The very thing skeptics doubted becomes one of the most moving truths. Our steps upon another world are eternal. Look at photographs from Apollo missions, and you may notice something strange. The moon's sky is black, yes, but there are no stars. Shouldn't space be filled with countless points of light? Conspiracy theorists pounce. Why no stars, unless it was all filmed in a studio? The answer lies not in mystery, but in cameras. When astronauts took photos on the moon, they stood in blazing sunlight, brighter than any desert noon on Earth. The lunar surface reflected that sunlight harshly, and their white suits glowed like mirrors. To capture those images clearly, the camera settings had to reduce exposure, fast shutter speeds, narrow apertures. And with such settings, faint stars simply vanish from view. It is no different than trying to take a picture of your friends on a sunny beach. In broad daylight, your camera captures faces and sand, but the distant stars above remain invisible. They are too faint compared to the overwhelming brightness. Astronauts reported seeing stars when their visors were down, when they were away from the surface, or during the long journeys through space. The stars were always there, countless and beautiful. They simply were not captured in photographs designed to show the bright lunar world. No trick, no studio lights, just the limits of cameras in an alien environment. A more troubling myth is this. How could astronauts survive the Van Allen radiation belts? These zones of charged particles encircle Earth, trapped by our magnetic field. Pass through them, some say, and deadly radiation would kill instantly. If Apollo astronauts crossed them, how could they return alive? But here again, truth shines brighter than fear. The Van Allen belts are real, yes, and dangerous for long exposure. But the Apollo missions planned carefully. Their spacecraft traveled through the thinnest parts of the belts, skimming quickly in just a few hours. Shielding from the command module's aluminum hull further reduced exposure. The result? Astronauts receive radiation doses far below harmful levels, comparable to a few medical X-rays, not a death sentence. NASA measured, calculated, and ensured safety before the missions ever launched. The myth survives because radiation is a frightening word. But in reality, radiation is not always instantly lethal. It depends on dose, time, and shielding. The Apollo astronauts faced risk, yes, but not impossibility. They walked the moon because preparation and science made it possible. Perhaps the most dramatic myth is this. The landings were filmed on Earth, staged in a studio, directed by unseen hands to trick the world. Shadows on photographs appear odd, they say, at strange angles. Lighting seems unnatural. Could it all have been faked? But shadows tell a different story. On the moon, the sun is not the only light source. The surface itself, bright and reflective, scatters light in every direction. Astronauts, lander legs, rocks, all glow faintly from this reflected light. Shadows overlap, bend with the terrain, stretch in ways that seem strange only if we imagine Earth's flat studio floors. And beyond shadows lies evidence too vast to deny. Retroreflectors left by Apollo still sit on the moon, bouncing back laser beams fired from Earth. Lander bases remain visible in satellite photos. The Soviet Union, rivals in the space race, tracked every launch, every orbit, every landing. Had it been a hoax, they would have cried foul to the world. Instead, they saluted the achievement. What then remains? Only truth, that humans did walk on the moon, leaving footprints, planting flags, gathering rocks, gazing back at Earth with awe. The myths endure because doubt is powerful, because the achievement is almost too great to believe. But belief is not required. Evidence speaks louder, and the evidence is everywhere in rocks, in instruments, in the very footprints that still press into lunar dust. So look again at those grainy images, the black and white steps on a barren world. See them not with doubt, but with wonder, for they are not shadows of deception, but proof of courage, proof that humanity once reached across the void, touched another world, and came home to tell the story. The moon remembers, the dust remembers, and history, if we listen, remembers too.